Deep within the hidden chasm, sacred light bathed the ancient tree. Its luminous fruit, a whisper of immortality, waited in the verdant depths. Battered and bleeding, Gilphus stared into the mystical depths. Even a lifetime of relentless pursuit wasn't enough to grasp the true peak of martial arts. Deep within a sacred place, a magnificent divine dragon guards the legendary golden fruit. Whispers say this fruit holds the absolute power of immortality. Bloody and beaten, Gilphus still stood. His golden eyes, filled with fierce resolve, finally saw it. The legend he pursued, it truly existed. Wounded, Gilphus reaches the glowing, ancient tree. His gaze locks onto the shimmering golden fruit, radiating immense power. This legend, it is finally within his grasp. Wounded and weary, Gilphus rests against the defeated divine dragon. His arduous battle complete, the legendary golden fruit now within his grasp. After his grueling battle, Gilphus Eldragon finally reached the legendary tree. Wounded and weary, he slumped against its trunk, the golden fruit glimmering, a hard-won prize at last within his grasp. Gilphus, bloodied and scarred, clutched the glowing golden fruit. His eyes burned with fierce resolve. Now his endless pursuit of ultimate martial arts could truly continue. With a fierce resolve, Gilphus bit into the glowing golden fruit. This was it, the key to his unending pursuit of ultimate strength. Enveloped in brilliant golden light, Gilphus Eldragon stood firm. Raw power surged through his wounded body, radiating outwards. This was the fruit's effect, shaping his destiny. Decades unfolded after that fateful moment. The world, calm and beautiful, continued its endless cycle, a quiet passage of time. The serene Eldragon estate's gardens bloom, yet a quiet sorrow hangs heavy. Decades passed, and now all that remains is the somber acceptance of his peaceful rest. The Eldragon family gathers around Gilphus's deathbed, their grief palpable. The great patriarch, weakened by time, takes his last breath as his young son cries out, "No, father." Gilphus's eldest son, Gilliam, stood solemn, his gaze heavy with sorrow. "Father," he whispered, his heart aching from the recent loss. Decades had passed. Gilphus, the legendary Eldragon, lay frail and withered in his bed, his once boundless strength now just a distant memory as life slowly ebbed away. Gilphus, frail in bed, gently comforts his grieving son, Gilliam, while his youngest laments a home now empty of both parents. A somber farewell. Even as the mystical tree's legend faded, Gilphus's thoughts were clear. The rumored immortality failed, yet he found fortune in his wife and children. Gilphus, in his final moments, offered a gentle touch to his son's head, his heart full of love. His greatest fortune, his beloved children. Gilphus peacefully departed, surrounded by his grieving family and loyal staff. Though tears flowed, he left with no regrets, his journey finally complete. Gilphus's eyes blazed, his aged face etched with furious resolve. He wouldn't yield, not even to time itself. This spirit remained unbroken. In his final moments, Gilphus's aged hand reached out, finding solace in the tender touch of his family. A quiet, loving farewell. Gilphus, the unwavering warrior, wept. Even at the edge of life, his spirit raged against mortality, yearning for just a little more time to master the martial arts he loved. On his deathbed, Gilphus Eldragon's spirit raged. With blazing eyes and an outstretched hand, he desperately sought what he still hadn't reached. Gilliam's tears fell, a raw testament to his overwhelming sorrow. His father's ultimate dream of martial arts, now a memory, echoed as he choked out a pained, heartbroken cry. "Father." And so, after a life of relentless pursuit, Gilphus Eldragon's long and arduous journey finally reached its end. His story, for now, was closed. Yet, his story was far from over. 1,000 years later, the legendary martial artist, Gilphas, awoke with intense golden eyes as a newborn, Sieg. A new journey began, marked by a questioning, He stirred from a deep sleep. This familiar annex, yet his body felt so strangely light. A new dawn, a new awareness within these ancient walls. Sieg, reborn, gazed at his tiny hand with a dawning realization. This new, small body was entirely different from the one he once knew. Sieg stared in disbelief at his tiny hands, an overwhelming shock washing over him. Was this truly his new body? His mind reeled from the impossible transformation. Sieg Eldragon, now in a crib, stared wide-eyed at his tiny limbs. A chilling, impossible thought hit him: he was a baby. Sieg Eldragon, a mere infant, seethed with frustration. The powerful presence of his former self, Gilphus, materialized, bewildered by their current, vulnerable state. Reborn as Sieg, the Grand Eldragon nursery felt vast. He lay powerless, utterly baffled by this bizarre situation and his tiny body. Sieg's golden eyes widened, a shocking realization dawned on him as a profound thought suddenly sparked within his infant mind. Within a deep luminous chasm, a mystical tree shimmered, from it the golden glowing fruit brimming with ancient power. Asterisk. That asterisk fruit. A memory surged within Sieg. As Gilfus's life faded, his essence flowed as golden energy directly into the awaiting form of baby Sieg. The truth became clear: the legendary fruit granted not immortality but reincarnation. Reborn as Sieg, a gleeful, mischievous grin spread across the infant's face. This was incredible luck. Finally, he could chase the ultimate heights of martial arts once more. In this new life, Sieg found himself in a vast nursery. Crib after crib held sleeping infants, a silent reminder that he was just one among many tiny souls. Sieg, still a baby, lay in the annex pondering the many infants around him. Then, a familiar face crossed his mind: an Eldragon maid. Footsteps echoed as the maids entered the bustling nursery. A cart laden with bottles was pushed forward, signaling the start of the baby's feeding time in the Eldragon estate. The maids began preparations. Soon it would be feeding time. A stark reminder for Sieg: despite his past power, he was now just another hungry baby in the nursery. A goblin shrieked, struggling violently against an unseen force. Its desperate cries were powerless, held firm by the mysterious figure clad in dark robes. Two maids forcefully administer a glowing red liquid to a struggling goblin. What hidden purpose lies behind this unsettling scene within the Eldragon estate? The goblin screamed as the red liquid burned, erupting in a violent splash. Dark fluid rained down, covering Sieg's crib and little body, leaving him wide-eyed in shock. Sieg, covered in the gruesome splatter, could only stare in wide-eyed shock. What just happened? The unexpected chaos left him bewildered and stunned. A maid frantically pulled Sieg from his splattered crib, his face smeared with dark fluid. Shock gripped the nursery as silent horror settled upon them all. The maid clutched the splattered Sieg, her gaze falling on the glowing red liquid in the baby bottle. This wasn't milk. What were they making the infants drink? Sieg recoiled in horror, his wide eyes fixed on the glowing red liquid in the baby bottle. It was the same deadly substance. With his small body still splattered, Sieg stares in dread as the maid brings the glowing red liquid to his lips. He knows this dangerous substance is meant for him. Sieg screamed internally as the deadly red liquid neared his lips. Splattered from the goblin's demise, he felt overwhelming horror, trapped in his helpless infant body. A grand vision of ancient dragons, soaring under a brilliant sky, flashed through Sieg's mind. The liquid, it was ancient dragon blood. What madness possessed them to feed this to infants? The grim nursery became a scene of horror. Maids continued feeding, as Sieg, realizing the potent dragon's blood was meant for all infants, fought desperately to expel the substance. Sieg's infant body convulsed, splattered with the deadly dragon blood. He had already swallowed some, desperately hoping it wouldn't be his demise. The maid forced the glowing liquid, but Sieg struggled fiercely, spitting out the deadly dragon blood, the potent power threatening to burst him apart from within. Sieg raged, his tiny body rejecting the potent dragon blood, yet even as overwhelming power threatened to burst him, his spirit seized the moment. Asterisk, an opportunity. Despite the agony, Gilfus stood, wounded yet resolute, before the pulsing red core. This immense power, it was his chance to finally shatter all limits. The maid ruthlessly forced the glowing red liquid into Sieg, his tiny body writhing, splattered as he fought back. His fierce will to master martial arts ignited. The maid kept forcing the potent red liquid into Sieg's mouth. His tiny body resisted, but his mind now saw a chance to grow stronger. The ancient dragon blood pulsed, a swirling maelstrom of raw power. This immense force, once a threat, now churned within, ready to be mastered. Covered in the potent crimson, Sieg Eldragon's eyes burned with fierce resolve. This was a battle, and he wouldn't be underestimated. Ancient dragon blood surged through Sieg, his infant body screamed, straining with every fiber to tame the overwhelming power. He would master this, no matter the cost. Though his infant body bled and screamed with the surging dragon blood, Sieg's spirit blazed. Gilfus Eldragon would not be underestimated. The maid recoiled in shock, Sieg Eldragon's infant body writhing, drenched in the potent dragon blood. His tiny form, yet so fiercely defiant, startled even her. Despite the intense pain, Sieg's will burned fiercely. He consumed the ancient dragon's power, determined to reach martial arts heights he could only dream of in his previous life. A primal vision erupted, a massive, grayish-white ancient dragon roared, claws outstretched as it clashed with a smaller, golden-scaled ancient dragon amidst fiery skies. Raw power surged. Inside Sieg, the ancient dragon's power roared. He expected a battle, but the formidable energy was flowing through him, absorbed with surprising ease. His martial arts would reach new heights. The dragon blood surged within Sieg, a chaotic tempest of raw power. But instead of dread, a fierce resolve ignited. This was not a struggle, but a perfect opportunity. Despite the crimson mess, Sieg lay triumphant in his crib. Golden light pulsed from his tiny hands, a silent testament to the dragon blood now coursing through him. He had managed it. Even after the ordeal, the other infants survived. Sieg, reflecting on their resilience, still cursed his body's fragile limits. After such a brutal assimilation, little Sieg, covered in dragon blood, finally succumbed to exhaustion. A profound slumber claimed him, marking the quiet aftermath of his monumental struggle. 7 years had passed. High above the estate, under a boundless sky, intense training continued, each count a step toward immense strength. 7 years passed. Now a young man, Sieg gritted his teeth, rigorously training. He balanced a colossal rock, sweat dripping, his relentless pursuit of strength never wavering. With a burst of raw power, Sieg launched the colossal training rock into the sky. His relentless training yielded incredible force. Sieg delivered a devastating punch, the raw force shattering his training obstacle. His relentless pursuit of martial arts knew no bounds. Zeke Eldragon admired his perfectly honed physique, a testament to his relentless training. His powerful body, he knew, was all thanks to the ancient dragon blood flowing within him. Deep within nature's embrace, sunlight touched the forest floor. Even the simplest creatures, like this browsing deer, held a hidden innate power, a fundamental truth of this world. That fateful dragon's blood given to Zeke and the others was no ordinary liquid. It pulsed with immense ancient power, a true source of unimaginable strength. Zeke stood, radiating immense golden power. He was now far stronger thanks to the ancient dragon blood and the divine dragon's power within him, a true peak of strength. Zeke Eldragon, eyes burning white, radiated pure energy. Golden light exploded from his chest, his combined powers of 2 ancient dragons now fully awakened, transforming him into something truly extraordinary. Zeke lay bathed in golden light, his awakened power radiating from his chest. He closed his eyes, sensing immense strength, yet knowing this was only the very first step in his journey. Zeke stood, hands slightly raised, his mind consumed by his 1-star power. He expected much more by now, a relentless drive for martial arts mastery burning within. Zeke's body transformed into a shimmering universe. A single star blazed within, showing the path to ultimate power. The echoes of Gilfus Eldragon's legend resonated. His past self, a formidable warrior in his prime, had once reached 10 stars of power, a pinnacle no other existence could claim. Time truly flew. 7 years passed in a blink. Zeke, now a young man, wiped his brow. His journey to power, despite his origins, had only just begun. His mother, cradling him, faded too soon. His father, a grand, distant figure, never once looked his way. A fractured past, a lonely start. Zeke stared into the distance, a thoughtful frown on his face. 1,000 years had passed since his first life. The weight of time settled on his shoulders. Even as the maid forced the glowing red liquid, the infant Zeke fought back, violently spewing the potent, deadly substance, his small body rejecting its cruel fate in this brutal world. This grand gilded throne of the Eldragon family silently testifies to their brutal tradition. The Dragon Trial, a ritual of forcing infants to drink ancient dragon blood, was the dark foundation of their power. The grim survivors of the Dragon Trial gathered, destined to become Eldragon warriors. Zeke observed the estate and a maid, pondering the harsh realities of their mandated education. Her gaze unwavering, the maid stood firm. "I'm afraid I cannot share that information," she stated, a wall of silence guarding an unknown truth. Zeke, utterly confused, questioned why only maids stood before him. He had expected rigorous combat training after the trial. Zeke, under the clear sky, decided against formal combat education. His own rigorous conditioning was paramount, a path he would forge himself. Zeke pressed a maid for answers about the main family, but her loyal silence only deepened the mysteries of the Eldragon estate. Zeke Eldragon's golden eyes blazed with furious defiance. "Is that all you have to say?" he demanded, his frustration palpable as red lines of anger pulsed around him. His patience was at its end. Faced with Zeke's piercing gaze, the maid's face crumpled in fear. The question hung heavy, but her lips remained sealed, bound by rules she dared not break. Zeke, shirtless and frustrated, pressed the maid about his harsh treatment. She formally relayed her limited orders, a stark reminder of his isolated existence despite his growing power. The maid stood before him, calm and composed, a three-star practitioner. For rudimentary combat education, Zeke mused, perhaps she would suffice. Frustrated by years of silence and isolation, Zeke, with a maid standing nearby, resolved to leave the estate. He would venture into the forest, seeking his own path. The maid stood with her back turned, gazing towards the distant mountains. Zeke watched her, contemplating her seeming disinterest. Was she finally ignoring him, letting him truly be alone? Stepping beyond the estate, Zeke entered the vibrant, sun-kissed forest. Rays of light pierced the canopy, hinting at a new, unknown path unfolding before him. Venturing deeper, Zeke's hand powerfully unearthed a mysterious, glowing plant from the forest floor. His journey for ultimate strength continued. He forced the strange essence into his mouth, his face contorted in a silent struggle. This was the next step to martial arts mastery. Zeke grimaced, the repulsive plant burning his tongue. Disgusting, yes, but every painful swallow was another step on his arduous path to ultimate martial arts mastery. Patience was wearing thin. Zeke Eldragon's golden eyes narrowed, sensing a constant, unsettling gaze that had been following him without end. Deep in the glowing forest, Zeke struggled with the plant's essence. Its power pulsed, transforming him, yet he longed to address the unseen observer, to finally confront what watched him. Zeke stood in the glowing forest, a silent challenge in his posture. He knew someone was watching, and he called them out, ready for whatever hid in the shadows. Zeke Eldragon stood firm, his gaze unwavering in the forest. Suddenly, shadowy purple energy crackled and swirled, revealing the unseen observer's powerful presence. Hiding in the dense foliage, Zeke's golden eyes sharpened. The lurking presence he had challenged was finally revealing itself. He watched, sensing something profound. Deep in the forest, Zeke encountered a monstrous anger boar amidst an unsettling black mist. This eerie phenomenon, unknown 1,000 years ago, heralded new dangers in this changed world. Zeke faced the monstrous anger boar head-on. Dark mist swirled through the forest, a terrifying reminder of the new era's dangers as the beast charged. The monstrous anger boar bore down on Zeke, its massive form thundering through the glowing forest, ready to strike. The air crackled with danger. Faced with the charging beast, Zeke's eyes burned with fierce excitement. A wild grin spread across his face, ready to finally unleash his power against this new world's threat. The monstrous anger boar lunges with blurring speed, a whirlwind of force. But Zeke stands his ground, eyes narrowed, ready to face this beast head-on. As the monstrous boar lunged, Zeke met it head-on. A blinding golden energy erupted from his fist, his eyes burning with fierce, awakened power. Zeke Eldragon's golden fist slammed into the charging anger boar, unleashing a blinding explosion of power. The monstrous beast recoiled, caught in the raw force of his attack. Zeke gazed at his glowing hand, a slight smirk on his face. Even a light tap at his one-star level produced immense, shocking power. Shouldering the defeated anger boar, Zeke mused on his neglected status and the quality of his strength. A journey beckoned, a path away from these confines. Zeke looked out into the glowing forest, his mind made up. A vast, unexplored world awaited, and for his next journey, the endless expanse of the sea beckoned him. A mysterious cloaked figure emerged from the shadows. With a knowing gaze, he acknowledged Zeke's growing power, especially his startling ability to sense his hidden presence. Alone and neglected, Zeke Eldragon remains bound by blood. He's constantly watched by a shadowy figure, unable to truly escape the Eldragon family's pervasive gaze, his path always observed. Hidden in the sunlit woods, the mysterious observer smirked. An illegitimate son yet still of the head's bloodline, Zeke's future was becoming very interesting indeed. His humble home, nestled against the mountains, marked the true beginning. Zeke Eldragon, now setting out, left the only place he'd known, ready for the path ahead. Ready to depart, Zeke secured his pack. His golden eyes scanned the surroundings, sensing powerful presences. Who were these skilled fighters, and what did they want from him? Zeke leaned against the door of his quiet home, a moment of calm before the storm. The countryside's clean air was a welcome contrast to the distant chaos. As Zeke stepped out, two imposing figures blocked his path. Their stern presence and formal attire made it clear his journey wouldn't start without a challenge. Just as Zeke prepared to leave, two Eldragon officials, their emblems gleaming, blocked his path. Their surprise was clear, their intentions unknown. Before Zeke, the L-Dragon senior commander and his officers stood in formal uniform, bowing respectfully. Their words, however, hinted at a subtle power play. They were here to escort Master Zeke. Before Zeke, the L-Dragon senior commander bowed low, his voice firm yet respectful. Master Zeke must take an examination, he declared, asserting the family's control over his path. Zeke's golden eyes widened. An examination? The family's assertive control left him questioning his path. Zeke's face twisted in utter disbelief. She gasped, aghast at the L-Dragon family's audacious demands and unrelenting control. From his humble home, Zeke's furious realization echoed through the clear sky. The L-Dragon family had taught him nothing, yet now they dared to intervene. His path remained his own. Zeke stood, his golden eyes wide with a mix of surprise and dawning realization. He had never thought things would come to this. After 7 years, Zeke and the other survivors stand before the majestic L-Dragon main estate. Their journey back to the heart of the family has finally begun. Zeke stood before the estate, halted by a formal servant insisting his simple clothes were unfit for entry.
"I can't enter,"
he fumed, the familiar slight burning. 1,000 years birthed the L-Dragon Academy, a grand fortress where young warriors, steeped in dragon legacy, begin their arduous path to mastery. This is the Dragon's Nest. The Academy's entrance examination loomed. Despite never receiving formal training from the family, Zeke L-Dragon faced it with a confident smile, his self-taught power shining brightly. Zeke L-Dragon gasped, his exasperation clear. After all their neglect, the family still dragged him all the way from the frontier for a mandatory exam. The audacity. A student knelt, overwhelmed amidst the Grand Academy entrance. Rangus from Ordscale Village, noticing his distress, approached with a gentle, concerned gaze. A friendly student, Rangus, approached a bewildered Zeke during the Academy exam. "You seem to be in trouble," he said, extending a hand of concern. Zeke, still frustrated, could only ask, "Who are you?" Zeke's eyes widened. This seemingly timid student, Rangus, pulsed with an incredible, vibrant purple aura. What hidden power was this kid holding back? Rangus observed the brooding Zeke, who muttered an apology, still lost in his thoughts about the Academy's persistent demands. An awkward quiet settled between them. After the surprising exam, Zeke turned to Rangus. "Rangus, you said," he asked, a slight smile forming. "I'm Zeke." A formal introduction began. Zeke, still puzzled by the Academy's exam, wondered what trials lay ahead. Rangus, slightly flustered, gently clarified that the test format rarely changed, hinting at Zeke's unfamiliarity. Rangus stared in disbelief. Zeke, completely unaware of the exam's details, faced the bewildered student with unwavering resolve. This Academy test was proving chaotic. Zeke, now in a formal suit, watched students gather at the Grand Academy gates. A student confronted Rangus, who was discussing the exam, while Zeke sensed the brewing tension. Rangus gasped, utterly bewildered. Zeke, unwavering, merely watched as the unexpected truth of the Academy's trials began to dawn on his startled companion. The Academy bully sneered at Rangus. "Lost, weakling, go home before you get hurt." Rangus could only offer a forced, uneasy smile, enduring the cruel words. The Academy bully loudly declared the exam's name, leaving Rangus flustered. Zeke, overhearing, finally understood the situation, his eyes widening in surprise. "You?" The Academy bully relentlessly mocked Rangus, sneering about his father's status and questioning how he could ever pass the exam. Rangus turned away, silently enduring the taunts. The bully's fist clenched, his words sharp with contempt. He spat out insults, calling Zeke a mere pseudo-dragon's child. Zeke met his gaze, an unreadable calm in his eyes. Within the L-Dragon family, a stark hierarchy emerges. The absolute monarch stands supreme, radiating overwhelming purple power, while lower ranks, from whelps to soldiers, display their lesser yet shared dragon essence. The L-Dragon family's power structure was undeniable. From captain-level adult dragons wielding potent energy to the formal executive-level elders, each rank radiated a formidable, distinct aura. A dark, scaled form plummets through a void, trapped by a potent purple energy. This is the truth of the pseudo-dragons, those deemed unworthy, eternally banished from the dragon's nest. Those who fail the Academy, deemed immature ones, wander a lonely path. Adrift in a cosmic void, even two figures walk, hand in hand, toward an unknown fate. Amidst the harsh judgment, Zeke L-Dragon stood firm. His form ignited with a cosmic, star-filled purple energy, a fierce resolve burning within him to prove his undeniable power. Zeke's eyes widened in surprise, met with a question that seemed to doubt his very intent. How could they judge without even letting him try? Zeke's challenge rang out. 3 students, rigid in their academy uniforms, faced him, their expressions unreadable. The confrontation hung heavy, a silent question in the air. Zeke turns to the surprised bully, his voice cutting through the tense air. He demands answers, challenging why Rangus is deemed impossible by their cruel system. The Eldragon Academy's harsh judgment continued. The bully pointed, openly shaming Rangus for his perceived weakness. Others watched, but no one stepped in. The pressure mounted. Rangus reacts with wide-eyed shock. How can they call him weak? But a powerful, fiery aura erupts, and Zeke calmly considers Rangus is far stronger than any of them. An ancient gaze falls upon Zeke, his thoughtful image reflected in its depths. He's stronger than any of you. A voice echoes, acknowledging his overwhelming power. The bully's furious outburst ripped through the academy grounds. How could they be ranked below such a weakling? His rage ignited, demanding an answer. A commanding shout of attention cut through the air. The senior commander, resolute, stared down at the assembly. Zeke watched, sensing the gravity of the declaration. With a powerful shout, the senior commander declared the Dragon's Nest entrance examination officially open. Applicants, prepare to register and receive your number tags. The academy bully, his face contorted with rage, snarled a promise of retribution. The air crackled with his fury, a clear declaration of war. Zeke calmly crossed his arms, finding the bully's anger excessive, musing on the short temper of younger generations. Rangus, standing behind him, watched with quiet concern. Zeke stood, arms crossed, watching the bully and his followers retreat towards the massive academy gate. Rangus clenched his fists nearby, the air still thick with unresolved tension. Zeke Eldragon's golden eyes narrowed. He simply observed the departing figures, his mind already calculating the next moves, a quiet challenge in his gaze. Is that so? Zeke crossed his arms, his golden eyes sharp. Mandatory yet impossible, he mused. The Eldragon ways continued to baffle him. Rangus gaped, realizing Zeke's utter ignorance. You can actually withdraw, Zeke burst out, stunned by this new revelation. A smug academy bully, now with bright blue hair, smirked, advising Zeke to withdraw to avoid injury. Zeke stood astonished, the idea of quitting completely alien. Zeke declared his absolute inability to withdraw, his unwavering confidence echoing through the academy grounds. Rangus watched, bemused by such certainty, despite Zeke's ignorance of the trial ahead. A cheerful Zeke impatiently urged Rangus to hurry, reminding him the test was about to begin. Rangus, still looking flustered, could only manage a hesitant agreement. The Eldragon officer explained the first trial. Students like Zeke and Rangus faced ancient rocks. Scratch one with bare hands to pass the Dragon's Nest exam. The senior commander's smirk hinted at the true challenge. The rock-scratching test would allow only 3 attempts, a harsh limit to the examination. Zeke eyes the rock-scratching test, calling it surprisingly easy. Beside him, Rangus cries out, utterly confused by the unexpected challenge. Other students look on, some clearly distressed. This test is nothing. Zeke remembered the true dragon trial, a horrifying ritual forced upon him as an infant by a maid, consuming a sinister, glowing elixir. The first challenge was laid out, a simple numbered card. For Zeke, after everything he'd been through, the task ahead felt utterly anticlimactic. Begin. The senior commander roared, kickstarting the exam. Below, a student's face twisted in pure panic, overwhelmed by the sudden pressure. A student bellows, driving his sword into the stone with all his might. Red energy explodes from the impact, his strained face reflecting his fierce determination. A student gritted his teeth, sweat dripping as he slammed his sword into the rock. The examination pushed him to his limits, each strike fueled by desperate determination. Another student relentlessly pounded the rock with bare, bloodied hands. Each strike was a testament to his desperation and the brutal difficulty of this so-called easy exam. Zeke watched, wide-eyed, as Rangus flinched, covering his ears. The desperate cry of another student echoed through the examination hall, highlighting the brutal pressure. The Eldragon officer calmly recorded another failure. One student collapsed, his first attempt at the brutal rock test already lost. 2 more chances remained. Under the officer's cold gaze, another student faltered. The smirking officer simply recorded the abandonment, sealing their fate in this brutal examination. The unforgiving exam raged on. An officer calmly recorded another failure as a student collapsed. Next, step forward, a voice echoed, demanding the trial continue. The examination's intense pressure overwhelmed Rangus. Clutching his ears in distress, Zeke, arms crossed and visibly annoyed, could only scoff. This is the test, utterly unimpressed. Zeke's golden eyes widened, a sweat drop forming as he stared, utterly bewildered by the spectacle before him. "What is that thing?" he muttered, truly surprised. The examination's rock was no ordinary stone. It instantly repaired any scratch and, worse, reflected back hundreds of times the force applied. This was the true nature of the Dragon's Nest trial. Amidst the impossible test, Zeke explained the true nature of the material to a bewildered Rangiz. Only by properly circulating inner power could one hope to scratch it. Zeke pondered, realizing the exam wasn't about martial arts skill, but mastering source power. Rangiz, still flustered, listened intently. This test was proving quite different. Zeke's golden eyes narrowed in deep thought. The regeneration stone wasn't about strength, but source power. He finally understood the Academy's true test. The tiered stands filled with hopeful students. An air of silent judgment hung heavy. Even after the brutal challenges, many still seemed poised to pass this deceptive exam. The brutal exam continued, claiming more victims. One student screamed in panic, number 51, failed. Another, number 103, collapsed, bloody and broken by the stone's unforgiving power. Next up, number 315, the announcer calls. Zeke calmly holds his tag ready, but a flustered Rangiz nervously asks, "Can we still withdraw?" The exam's grim pressure is palpable. Zeke calmly gestured, reassuring a distressed Rangiz as the formidable regeneration stones loomed. The test might be brutal, but Zeke seemed unfazed, ready to proceed. Rangiz stood speechless, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. The true nature of the exam, the raw power required, it was all sinking in, leaving him utterly bewildered. As a desperate cry echoed, an officer calmly recorded the unfolding chaos. Meanwhile, Zeke advanced, causing a high-ranking observer's eye to widen in sudden shock. As the true depth of the exam dawned, Zeke Eldragon ignited with fierce golden energy, his determination burning bright. The powerful spirit of Gilfus pulsed within him, ready to unleash immense power. The officer questioned Zeke's choice to fight unarmed. Zeke merely smirked, his fists ready, a weapon not needed. "This fist is enough." As Zeke prepared, fellow students watched, whispers filling the air. His decision to go barehanded against the regeneration stone left many in disbelief, predicting shattered fists. Rangiz stared, horrified. He knew the stone's reflection force. Zeke's bare hand, his whole arm would be utterly obliterated. Overwhelmed with dread, Rangiz clenched his fist. He watched Zeke, regretting not stopping him more forcefully from facing the deadly stone with bare hands. The Eldragon officer, eyes stern, acknowledged Zeke's decision. "Then begin," he commanded, setting the harsh trial in motion. Zeke, eyes wide with curiosity, touched the strange mineral. A relic of 1,000 years, this new world held countless wonders and mysteries for him to unravel. Zeke Eldragon's fist ignited with fierce golden power, radiating immense heat. The test's triviality, the critic's doubts, none of it mattered. He would overcome this challenge with his own overwhelming strength. Rangiz's voice ripped through the air, eyes wide with pure panic. He had to stop Zeke now, before the regeneration stone's deadly power reflected back and destroyed him. Zeke Eldragon bursts forward, eyes blazing with fiery power. His entire being erupts in golden-orange energy as he unleashes his full strength, a determined grin fixed on his face. Zeke's golden eye blazed with incredible power. He gathered his energy, preparing a devastating combat art, Rangiz's panicked reflection clear in his focused gaze. Zeke's fist, a searing burst of golden energy, slams down with overwhelming force. The ground cracks and shatters as his dragon destruction combat arts unleashes its power. Zeke's burst strike erupted. Golden energy exploded outwards, ripping through the ground. Debris flew everywhere in a devastating display of his true power. Rangiz squeezed his eyes shut, a gasp escaping him. The sheer explosive power of Zeke's strike left him utterly speechless, overwhelmed by the spectacle. The Eldragon officer stood unwavering, meticulously recording the powerful impact. His calm gaze, shadowed beneath his cap, betrayed no surprise at the overwhelming force. After his devastating burst strike, Zeke Eldragon let out a quiet, a subtle smile played on his lips, already contemplating the results of his immense power. The ground trembled, shattered fragments of the regeneration stone now just debris. White smoke still swirled from the impact. A devastating blow, yet Zeke mused, that technique was still a bit too advanced for my current self. Despite his battered hand, Zeke laughs with pure exhilaration. He declares his need for even more training, thrilled by his journey to martial arts mastery. A collective gasp echoed as students stared, mouths agape. Zeke's display of immense power left them utterly speechless, faces etched with profound shock. The silence was shattered only by a student's stunned gasp, his eyes wide in disbelief. He truly shattered it. Then, a low, confident, he echoed, a subtle ripple of power. A keen blonde student watched the powerful display, a subtle smile playing on her lips, her golden eyes glinted with interest. This was certainly, interesting. Ranges stared, his blue eyes wide with terror and disbelief. What just happened? Zeke actually shattered the regeneration stone. It was utterly impossible. Zeke stood, a confident smirk on his lips, his torn sleeve a testament to his overwhelming power. The stadium erupted in stunned gasps, the crowd utterly bewildered by his impossible feat. The officer watched, dumbfounded by Zeke's impossible feat. A child possessing such immense four-star level power was truly unheard of, as Zeke subtly smirked. An Eldragon officer silently pondered Zeke's power. He seemed to recognize that devastating technique and questioned the young man's true lineage. With his hands still scarred, Zeke calmly asked the officer about his results. The Eldragon officer, quill in hand, silently pondered Zeke's shocking power. Zeke, number 315, stands with a confident smirk. The results are in, he passed. A powerful aura of success radiates from him. After the examination, an Eldragon officer approached Zeke with a mysterious glowing potion. Zeke, bewildered, could only wonder what new trials lay ahead. The supervising officer, a gentle smile replacing his usual smirk, politely urged Zeke to clear the area. His unexpected demeanor added a puzzling layer to the mysterious potion. Zeke, exasperated, clutched the strange potion. He couldn't help but wonder if everyone in this new era was so easily agitated, lacking his ancient composure. Rangus, wide-eyed and flushed, stared in disbelief. Zeke simply smirked, knowing his incredible power had just shattered all expectations. Zeke stared at the mysterious potion, his torn sleeve a mark of his recent struggle. Rangus, ever helpful, cheerfully explained, "It's a healing potion," while Zeke recalled the officer's sly smile. Still puzzled by the glowing bottle, Zeke questioned its nature. Rangus, ever cheerful, simply confirmed it was a common healing potion. Zeke held the glowing potion, his eyes narrowed in thought. Healing, huh? A new idea sparked. Don't tell me this is a spirit medicine. This wasn't just any potion, its intense green glow confirmed it, a spirit medicine, crafted from exceedingly rare materials. This potent spirit medicine was crafted from glowing herbs found only in hidden realms, infused with the high-purity power cores of elusive divine and phantom beasts, truly rare. Zeke swallowed the rare spirit medicine, a potent green glow engulfing him as the powerful concoction began its work. The potent spirit medicine surged through Zeke, his arm enveloped in a fierce green glow as his clothes tore. A new power awakened. Zeke reeled as the spirit medicine surged, golden power sparking within him. Rangus, unfazed, explained the Eldragon family's potent healing. Rangus stared in awe, shocked that Zeke's serious injuries vanished instantly. Zeke, recovering quickly, questioned his friend's intense surprise at the potent medicine's effects. Rangus animatedly explained the potion's effects, while Zeke, now healed, still pondered the spirit medicine's deeper impact on his immense power, finding the local perspectives curious. Zeke's hand gripped the glowing blue vial. This wasn't mere medicine, it was the accumulated wisdom of 1,000 years, a profound mystery now in his grasp. As the academy students watched, Rangus praised Zeke's incredible strength. Zeke, with unwavering confidence, simply reaffirmed his goal to be the strongest. The exam strain was clear as students received their passes. One clutched his head in distress. Meanwhile, Zeke calmly held his glowing green potion, observing the aftermath. As the passing results were announced, Zeke casually leaned back, looking utterly bored. Beside him, Rangus squirmed with nerves, still flustered by the day's intensity. Next, number 414. Rangus nervously began his walk, his light blue hair almost quivering with unease. Zeke watched the anxious student, wondering why he was so rattled before his turn. The exam's brutal pressure crushed Rangus, tears streaming as he cried out against the impossible bar. Other students grimaced, overwhelmed by the daunting display of power. Zeke stood, arms crossed, his torn sleeve a testament to recent battles. His golden eyes narrowed, wondering aloud, what is that guy doing? With a deep breath, Rangus clutched his sword, blue energy sparking around his wrist. Before the watchful crowd, the command rang out. Begin. Ranges roared, unleashing a wave of blue energy as he plunged his sword forward. This was his moment. A student was violently thrown back by the regeneration stone, his first attempt failing. As he struggled to rise, he swore to try again, while an officer calmly recorded the outcome. Ranges roared, channeling immense blue energy into his sword. With all his might, he struck the examination stone, giving his absolute everything. Ranges, utterly drained after his intense strike, collapsed to the ground. A pained groan escaped him as exhaustion finally took its toll. Ranges collapses to the ground, eyes wide with utter shock. He can't believe what he just witnessed. Two academy students openly jeer, their laughter mocking a pseudo-dragon. "Give up already," they shout, upholding the academy's cruel hierarchy. The Eldragon Academy bully leaned close, a sneer on his face. "Huh? What did you say earlier?" he scoffed, still trying to provoke Zeke. As Ranges lay collapsed, the students' cruel laughter filled the hall. One pointed, mocking, "Didn't you say Ranges was stronger than us?" The senior commander, quill in hand, scoffed at the applicant's struggles. "Stop this nonsense, only one attempt left. Will you try again?" His disdain hung heavy. Ranges knelt, wide-eyed and stunned. The impossible power he'd just witnessed left him speechless, his mind reeling from what Zeke had done. A tiny Zeke looks up at a towering figure's leg, his blue eyes wide with confusion. "What are you doing? Why not use the spear?" The voice questions echoing from above. After his fierce strike, Ranges lay exhausted on the ground. Zeke watched, then questioned why he still reached for his sword, a hint of concern in his voice. Zeke, exasperated, turned to a bewildered Ranges. Why cling to an unsuitable weapon without a plan? He pressed, the formidable regeneration stone sitting between them. Zeke Eldragon leaned in, a confident smirk on his face. For this challenge, a mere sword was useless, no matter how hard one tried. The cruel taunts echoed, students pointed and laughed, ridiculing a competitor's lineage and chosen weapon. The Academy's harsh judgment was clear. The bullies sneered, dismissing Rangis's efforts. True, changing weapons won't help anything, they mocked, reveling in his perceived weakness. "Examiner is changing weapons mid-test against the rules," Zeke asked confidently, a slight smile playing on his lips. The Eldragon officer calmly replied, "No problem." With a confident smile, Zeke encourages Ranges, his torn sleeve a testament to his power. Ranges looks up, listening intently, awaiting Zeke's next move. With a fierce grin and glowing eyes, Zeke Eldragon surveyed the arena. His torn sleeve a testament, he challenged, "Will you leave it as is?" Ranges looked on, a bead of sweat on his brow as fragmented memories surfaced. A young, struggling child, trapped in darkness, a painful echo of a past he carried. Bent in deep thought, Ranges muttered, refusing to give in, a new resolve hardened within him. He would make his own path. With a knowing smirk, Zeke suggested a new path, eyeing the gleaming spear. Ranges, wide-eyed, seemed to grapple with the unexpected advice. A pseudo-dragon emblem floats in the void. Below, a mysterious man with a sharp smirk clenches his glowing hand. "My father couldn't enter the dragon's nest," he thought. A young Ranges received his father's gentle touch. Despite being scorned, his father, with a confident smirk, proudly raised him for a future wielding the sword. With spear in hand, Ranges gazed up at the dazzling sky. He would not be a fake. His father's pride demanded he fight on. Ranges, realizing his sword was useless, decided to trust Zeke. A new challenge emerged. How would he wield a spear? Called to the fore, Ranges grasped his new spear. His blue eyes wide with surprise, he stood ready as the examination continued. "Thrust straight, Ranges." Without thinking about anything, Zeke commanded. Ranges, spear in hand, faced the regeneration stone, ready to follow his mentor's unwavering instruction. Zeke Eldragon, a knowing smirk on his face, calmly instructed Ranges, "Just thrust straight forward." Ranges gripped his spear, processing the simple yet vital direction. As Ranges seemed to hesitate, Zeke turned to face the skeptical students. With unwavering conviction, he challenged their premature judgment. "How can you tell without even trying yet?" Despite the strangeness, Ranges gripped the spear, his blue eyes wide yet firm. Trusting Zeke's unconventional advice, he declared his intent to try. With Zeke's faith echoing in his heart, Ranges gripped the spear. He would face the regeneration stone with new self-belief, ready to strike. Ranges gripped the spear, a shock of realization hitting him. Unprecedented source power surged through his very being, a stark contrast to his sword. With a fierce cry, Ranges unleashed a powerful spear thrust, impact radiating from the stone. Just as Zeke predicted, this new method was a breakthrough. The arrogant academy bullies erupted in laughter, one pointing, sneering at Rangus's changed weapon. A mere switch won't guarantee success, he scoffed, dismissing the effort. Rangus's blue eyes blazed, a powerful light reflecting his newfound connection. The spear, the energy, it felt like it was part of his very being. An awakening had begun. With Zeke's guidance, Rangus channeled his power, unleashing a forceful spear thrust. A blinding explosion of energy erupted, striking the regeneration stone with immense impact. What? The Eldragon Academy bully and other students gape in utter shock. Rangus, the pseudo-dragon, just delivered an incredibly powerful strike against the regeneration stone. The Eldragon commander and an officer watched, amazed. Rangus didn't just scratch the stone, he pierced right through it, leaving them utterly stunned. Zeke clapped, beaming with pride at Rangus's astounding success. Rangus, however, stood bewildered, barely grasping the power he had just unleashed. The Eldragon senior commander, Quill poised, still reeled from the impossible sight. With a heavy breath he made the official declaration. Number 414, passed. Rangus, spear still clutched in hand, stared wide-eyed at the result. A single thought echoed in his mind. I passed. Rangus gasped, tears streaming down as Zeke beamed, his arm around him. You did it, just as I thought. Zeke cheered, a confident smile on his face. Overjoyed, Rangus embraced Zeke, tears of pure relief and happiness streaming down his face. Zeke simply allowed the embrace, a subtle smile playing on his lips. Rangus's incredible success left his peers reeling. The bullies, in furious denial, shouted in disbelief, desperate to dismiss it as pure coincidence. The Eldragon senior commander's booming voice echoed. The rigorous entrance examination had finally concluded. The ceremonial officer's booming voice echoed. The Eldragon Academy's grand entrance ceremony was officially declared open, beginning a new chapter. With the entrance ceremony underway, Zeke couldn't help but wonder if the trials were truly finished. Rangus, however, calmly suggested more challenges lay ahead inside the academy. After the ceremony, Zeke and Rangus wonder about their next move. The path ahead opens, leading them deeper into the academy's new phase. The Grand Eldragon leadership arrived, their imposing figures ready to address the new students at the entrance ceremony. Their powerful presence commanded attention. Now an Eldragon elite stood, radiating a fierce red aura. His glowing eyes hinted at immense power, a stern gaze falling upon the newly assembled academy. Rangus's eyes widen in utter shock, a flush on his face. Zeke, more composed, watches the imposing Eldragon family head, a subtle concern in his golden eyes. Zeke quickly covers Rangus's mouth, silencing his nervous complaints about the stern leadership. Rangus looks startled, caught mid-whisper, as if about to blurt out something reckless. Young Rangus nervously begged for quiet, but a composed young Zeke simply shushed him, clearly annoyed by the noise. Yet, as the ceremony unfolded, Zeke's sharp golden eye held a lingering thought. His mind, ever restless, pondered what truly lay ahead. As the grand entrance ceremony began, high-ranking Eldragon officers assessed the assembled students, including Zeke and Rangus. This is the current Eldragon family's strength, one mused, a formidable force indeed. Zeke sat alone, clothes torn, eyes thoughtful. The academy ceremony had begun, but his mind lingered on new revelations and the long journey ahead. The current Eldragon family head, Balza Eldragon, stands with imposing power, his 8-star might undeniable. His formidable presence looms over the academy. 1,000 years ago, 8-star level warriors were legendary. Zeke Eldragon ponders the supreme power of that forgotten era, a strength almost unseen in his time. Rangus leaned in, voicing his strong dislike. Zeke, surprised, absorbed the confession, realizing with a jolt, could that truly be my father? Cloaked in a fierce, dark aura, Balza Eldragon stands before the academy. His commanding presence silences all as their master prepares to deliver his words. Balza Eldragon's gaze held unwavering power. His dark, fiery aura affirmed his absolute dominance, embodying the very essence of the Eldragon lineage. Balza's overwhelming aura filled the hall. Students buckled under the crushing pressure, but Zeke, though weary, merely felt a surge of annoyance. The crushing aura intensified. Rangus gasped, eyes wide with panic as Zeke looked on. Concerned, the suffocating pressure was overwhelming the students. Balza's overwhelming aura crushed the students, their faces contorted in agony. Even the other children buckled under his immense pressure, struggling to breathe. Zeke's golden eyes blazed, a potent surge of contempt rising within him. Facing Balza, an intense dislike he couldn't name took hold. Balza Eldragon departed, his powerful presence lingering. Officers watched, their disciplined forms unwavering. A furious clench, the overwhelming hatred for Balza Eldragon surged, forcing a tight, desperate grip. It was a struggle to contain the rage. Balza Eldragon boomed with laughter, pleased by the Academy's grateful reception. His overwhelming presence filled the air with absolute authority and eerie satisfaction. Balza Eldragon, head of the family, addressed the new recruits. Zeke watched his biological father, a storm of questions brewing inside him. Strive, young ones. Balza Eldragon's booming laughter filled the air, his powerful presence dominating the hall. Yet, for some, a whisper of uncertainty arose. Who is he? Amidst the ceremony, the Eldragon commander shared a casual thought, while the cloaked observer reacted with open hands, a subtle shift in the air signaling a welcome change in mood. As Balza Eldragon's booming voice faded, confusion rippled through the Academy students. Each mind grappled with the powerful, unsettling presence they had just witnessed, leaving them in a stunned silence. Zeke and Rangiz sat among the students, Rangiz flustered by the overwhelming presence. Zeke, however, simply watched, a familiar annoyance stirring within him as the address continued. With a booming voice, the Eldragon senior commander announced the dormitory assignments, demanding swift action from the new recruits. Rangiz, still surprised by recent events, questioned their destination. Zeke pointed, revealing not one, but 4 distinct dragon's nests awaited them, signaling the next stage of their journey. The Academy's 4 dragon's nests, split into east, west, south, and north halls, were finally revealed. Rangiz looked excited, while Zeke calmly took in the new information. Zeke grins, acknowledging his assignment. He bids a cheerful farewell to Rangiz, who smiles back, accepting their paths now diverging. The Academy life has truly begun. Before him, the Dragon's Nest East Hall rose, a grand, ornate structure. The imposing gates beckoned. He mused, a new path opening. Zeke, still adjusting to a world a millennium changed, found himself utterly bewildered by the Academy's winding halls. Turn here, he wondered, map in hand. Finally, after getting lost in the Academy's grand halls, Zeke found his dormitory. He arrived late, hoping his roommate wasn't already inside. Zeke's hand reached for the doorknob. A new chapter in the Eldragon Academy was about to begin. Zeke bursts open his dormitory door, a wide, excited grin on his face. His hand sweeps outward, ready for what new Academy life brings. Zeke Eldragon's golden eyes widened in pure astonishment as he peered through the newly opened doorway. What could possibly await him within his new room?